all that recent history and legacy to this ball club, who is it on, really? If we're going to break it down, who is it on?
Well, look, it ain't on us. That's for damn sure. I look at who Oklahoma is. They're Alabama. They're Clemson. They're one of the big boys. I mean, so It ain't on us. We expect them to be good every year. They've set that expectation. They've raised the bar to that level. So hell, it ain't on us. And then I look at Lincoln Riley on the sideline. Lincoln Riley's done it with every kind of quarterback from every corner of the earth. I mean, he's done it. He's been there. I have a really hard time putting it on the coaches. I'm not a big air raid guy. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm old school. I'm pro style. I don't like the air raid mentality of taking so much risk with the football so often and then get mad when it don't work against better talent. Like that whole thing, that's another conversation. This
Tell
one,
us
to
how
me,
you
the
feel,
question. Hey, the question in Oklahoma, you're going to get how I feel. One thing with me, with George, you ain't got to worry. You ain't got to worry about what I'm thinking. You ain't never going to wonder, like, I wonder what the hell you thinking. Hey, here's the deal. Here's the deal is I'm curious about Spencer Rattler, right? Because Lincoln Riley's taking 3 straight transfers, fellas. And guess what? All 3 of them were super alphas, right?
Yep.
All transfers. None of them were Lincoln Riley's guys. So what's the one thing that Lincoln Riley has not done since he's been great, right? Since he's taken over the program and they've kicked everybody's ass, right?
Raised a homegrown recruit.
Bingo. This is his first one. This is his first one. And now what do you got? You got a guy that I don't know the details. Y'all may know. Hell, you tell me if you know. I don't know the details. But it strikes me as a guy that doesn't have the intangible to take over an organization. I'm covering this damn NFL throughout the week. Got me talking organizations, program. You know what I mean? Fan base, all that stuff. Like I question, and it's a kid. I get it. It's a young quarterback. I'm just in my mind. I sit there and go, if dude was a super alpha like the rest of the guys were, 1, it wouldn't matter who the hell's booing. 2, he'd take this thing over and scoring 16 points against West Virginia wouldn't be a problem. I have a hard time looking anywhere other than the quarterback in this particular situation. And it's not his God-given ability. I guarantee you that because my man can spin it around the park.
Yeah, he really can, though.
So go with that then, Bryce. And to Clint's point, he has grown up since high school. He's grown up in college in Norman. We haven't even seen a homegrown quarterback as a Sooner in years. The rest of them just happen to all be starting in the NFL. All 3 of them starters in the NFL. Killers in the NFL. And here comes Rattler, more known than them, more hyped than them. Some would say more all around than them. And we're just they're paying exact change at every toll. They're barely getting by on some of these programs. That we watched the opener. It was Tulsa or Tulane barely getting by. It was a barroom brawl. How is it not a one-shot knockout and you're enjoying the rest of the afternoon? Tonight, a field goal to beat a West Virginia program. And you're talking about the SEC and the Big Ten heavyweights when you get in the playoffs. But to the quarterback's point and to Clint's point, Rattler, I think we all love him, but when you're watching him, he's watched great players. He was a freshman with Kyler. He watched behind Jalen. You were an apprentice to some real dudes, and you got a great play caller who calls green grass plays. And to Clint's point, with all the wide openness, you got better talent than anybody else, except for maybe 2 other locker rooms. Maybe. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's an interesting point. I'll tell you what. And what's more fascinating about it is none of those jokers y'all talked about before that were in the QB room had a camera following them around when they were 16. 17. Nope. This whole world that we've gotten into of you're famous before you even touch the field. You don't just walk out there and play and be successful. And so the other thing about being an alpha, man, you have it. That's innate, right? It's in you, but it comes from being hit in the mouth and getting back up. That experience of knowing, hey, man, you either get behind me or you're in my way. That whole world, if you don't have adversity to know when to bring that part out of you and everything's just been handed to you, you ain't an alpha yet. Alpha to me is learned. Alpha to me is experience. That's when I know, hey, I'm following Clint on this thing right here, right? So this cat hasn't had any type of that world in him or that life experience yet. He's getting it right now. So what I want to see is what happens next week. All this BS about really who the room was that he was in the last couple of years. It's your room now. So to me, it's a little bit on Lincoln. It's a little bit on Lincoln because there needs to be a sense of urgency here. To your point, George, with Tulane barely getting out of there, Nebraska barely getting out of there. Now West Virginia. Now, granted, they just knocked off Virginia Tech at home. It was number 15, coming off a big win in North Carolina. So there was some momentum going into Hokie land there, or really coming into Morgantown. So there was a lot of hype around this game, but at the same time, you have to take care of business. You have to take care of business in terms of the production on the field as an offense. That's directly from Lincoln Riley. So a little bit of that is on Spencer Rattler for sure. To me, man, I look right. It's Lincoln Riley has to get in that locker room tomorrow and be like, look, man, I don't know what you guys got, thought that was going to happen just because we were number 2, preseason. Yeah. That you don't just walk out there and win.
Real quick, before we roll out of this game, and I want to go to Clint and Bryce, I want to get your thoughts. Rattler calls you guys tonight. He calls you both. He says, man, you guys have both done it. You've both been in big-time conferences. You've been cheered. You've been jeered. You've been booed. You've been the hero. You've been this, that, the other. What do you tell him tonight in regards to his own home crowd calling for the number 2 quarterback? And just for the fans at home, this isn't your normal backup call for a quarterback. Caleb Williams from Washington, D.C. is a number 1 recruit a year or 2 ago. He is one of the 10 best college quarterbacks in America right now. He is one of the 10 best quarterbacks. Oklahoma just happens to have 2 of them in their quarterback room, just so you know the source of what those fans are crying for. And they may not even know it themselves. But what do you tell him, Clint? What do you tell him, Bryce? Because to me, in my heart, I'm watching that and I'm thinking, boy, either he's going to put on a Darth Vader mask and use his own crowd as a chip on his shoulder and try to burn through the season and resent them, or let it roll off his back, get back about business and try to go get better. What do you tell him, Clint, about how it played out tonight?
Well, he's got big problems if that's bothering him, in my opinion, right? I mean, if that's bothering him, that is the exact problem that we're dealing with. So, I mean, I'm going to sit down with him and say, look, it's one thing to hear it, right? I've been booed before, right? I heard it when I was booed, yeah. But when I went to practice on Monday, I wasn't thinking about getting booed. So if you're thinking about getting booed, one, you need to get your head in the right place, right? Your head space is not good if that's bothering you, if that is. It's one thing to bother you in the moment, but if that's bothering you Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, then we've got problems and we need to really sit down and check on some things. The only guys that matter are the guys in the locker room. Here, guys, coach speak. And look, I hate when people say, oh, that's coach speak. Man, coach speak is coach speak because that shit works. I mean, because it's real. I mean, that's what coach speak is, right? The only thing that matters is the dudes in the locker room. And if your dudes believe in you, you got to play better. But if your dudes believe in you, then everything will be fine. And by the way, you ain't got no control of that dude behind you. You ain't got no control. He's a monster. And guess what? If he wasn't here, we'd bring another one in, and you'd have another monster behind you. So if you play well, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So you worry about them fans, them same fans up there booing you, they ain't never booed a loser. They're booing you because the expectations are through the roof. You start kicking ass, they'll start paying you to represent their product and wear their polo T-shirts with their logos on it again. Don't worry about all that.
I'm ready to go.
Come on,
let's go. I'm ready to go play right now.
Come on.
Hey man, I'm not taking anything away from that. All I want to add to it, just like Clint said, man, I'm taking out the rear view mirror. I'm taking out the side mirrors. It is only the straight and narrow. I'm turning this damn thing off, which, Clint, I know that you didn't have these as much of an issue when you were playing. That shit makes it relevant Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you look on social media and you're sucking,
it'll live.
To your buddy. And I'm telling you, to your point, they don't boo a loser. They do boo people that lose, and they will let you know. Every little couch quarterback on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that's sitting in his mom's basement right now is telling that dude, hey, Spencer, this is what I would tell you. And that's what's hard. That's what's hard about the day and age that these kids live in. But what I will say that I absolutely love that you said, it is about those guys in the locker room.
I'll just, before we jump to
hang on, George. For the record,
ahead,
they ain't never booed a loser. That means your ass ain't a loser. They're booing you because you can kick ass and you can win, right?
You
I mean,
should be.
that's
You
where
should
I'm coming
be.
from. Is
Yeah,
the only
100%.
reason they're booing
100%.
you is because you're a baller.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a great point, man.
Get your stuff together.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
here's
if you can't handle expectations, then get out the room.
Here's
Come
the
on.
killer part to the psychology of what we're talking about. Especially you and I, Clint, we're older. Bryce just took his helmet off. We didn't have these then. And I'm talking about Twitter and social media and any Joe in his basement being able to reach out to you. One of my really good buddies, he's now the quarterback coach for the Dolphins, is Charlie Fry. When he was coaching at Florida, I touch base with guys all the time, and I said, is there anything that you got to like tackle that you didn't expect to? He goes, yeah. When the game's over, or sometimes during halftime, you got guys with their helmets on at their lockers checking Twitter to see what's said about them. He said, as big and tough and built up as these dudes are, right? They're like Dothraki. They still come in and they care about what Sam and Kevin and Trayvon said about him on the last drive. And it really does eat at him. So we're going to find out who Rattler is and really about who the Sooners are, because this resume, it's going to wind up being must-see TV for all the wrong reasons.